Okay. Now tell me about David White Jr.
All right, David White Jr. was his dad was married to Mary
Daniels,
who lived in Freeport on Taylor Street, and his dad was married to Mary White, and we became good friends through Aunt May and Uncle David White, and we found out that he had married Aunt May, and that put us in relationship. And
he had how many kids did he have before he married Aunt May?
he had S.G. White, and he had Dorothy, a daughter named Dorothy, and he had one named Frank. And Frank was under Junior White. And
SG was kind of fast roller, right?
Yeah, Frank was a fast roller.
Oh.
But Frank was the baby out of that bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And when they lived in Freeport, that put us in relationship we had already left Freeport and were living down here with Aunt Mary and Lucille was my mother. And we was all living down here in Ringgold, and that put us in relationship with David White. And
okay, so let's fast forward to when you got out of high school and you went to grammar.
And when we got out of high school,
mm-hmm.
we didn't go to grammar. When we got out of high school, we went in the Army.
Oh.
Huh? We went to the Army together.
Mm.
And we went to the Army, and Papa had told me that I'd never go to the Army because I had flat feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was glad to go with Junior White to go to the Army because I said that'd be a good hotel. We got plenty of meal tickets, and we went to Texarkana. And while we was in Texarkana, we was in a hotel in Texarkana, and a representative from the Army came in and told me to raise my right hand. What's up? What's going on? He said, you in the Army now. and Junior White, we had just got out of high school together. Junior White was in California. He got out a month before me. He came down here, and both of us had finished high school in 1950. And I didn't mind going to the Army because I knew Uncle Sam didn't want me because I had flat feet. But when I knew one thing, we were in Texarkana, and we were in the hotel.
And you were sworn in.
And
then y'all went to basic training together?
We had the meal tickets and things. We was in the hotel, and I was really enjoying myself. And the man told me to raise your right hand. And I raised my right hand. I said, what's that? He said, you in the Army. and when we was in the Army, then David White, he had already raised David White's hand. And we were he put us on a troop train in Texarkana, and we was on our way to to basic training in Fort Riley, Kansas. And David White, and we got there, and David White was there, and David White excelled fast in the Army. I don't know whether it was because he was from California, and he was big, and he had a big head, and he excelled fast, and he was over everybody in the company. And I ain't had no problem with that. But I know I wasn't nothing, and Junior White was everything. And then when we went through basic training, got our basic training, they sent me to Washington, to Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and sent Junior White to
Korea, wasn't it?
To Korea.
Mm-hmm.
In Korea. And we was in the Korean Army together in 1950. And we stayed in the Army until 1953.
And then when Junior White, he went home to California before he got out.
Yeah, and he married.
Mm-hmm.
And when he married this good-looking girl, we had so many kinfolks out there. Junior White, we had Frank White, S.T., had one of our first cousins, Hall, and Excel Hall, and we had so many good relatives. And when Junior White went to the Army and married this woman, he said, well, I ain't going back to the Army and leave this woman fall. And so somehow Junior White missed the boat, marrying a woman, and didn't have, and he didn't think that she would be loyal to him, and he didn't want to leave and go back to California and
go back to the Army.
Back to the Army.
So he probably went AWOL.
Yeah, and they sent him to Korea. While he was in Korea, he had frozen feet in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I was in
Alaska.
in Fort Belvoir, Virginia.
Okay.
And I went to heavy earth moving school.
Okay. Now let's skip to y'all got out of the Army, and then you came back to Ringo. And what did you decide to do? You decided to go to Grambling, right?
Yeah. I went to Grambling. When David White went on back to California, and I went on to the Army in Grambling. I just went one semester in Grambling, and by the time I ended one semester, I thought about how fast it was in California and how they were moving, and I decided to go to California.
You was restless.
What?
You was restless.
Restless. I went to California with those other fast movers. And by that time, Junior White that woman had left Junior White, or Junior White left her. But I never did see her anymore. So
y'all started working.
But Junior White, Johnny L and I got out of the Army at the same time. I didn't know Johnny L and was in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we all got out of there, and we had something called 3220. 3220. 32 weeks, we were going to get $20, to pump us up while we were getting out of the army and get justice back there. And the three of us used to go down every week and get that
$20.
$20, and so that put me in relationship with Johnny L. And who?
Earl
and Johnny L. And so we were fast movers, and Johnny was fast, Earl was fast, and I was catching on. And so Junior White was in California, but he couldn't keep up with us. And
because he was kind of laid back and slow.
Yeah, and then he had a bad discharge too, and because he had messed around with that woman.
Okay, and then so after you was partying up with John L. and Earl, and y'all was working every day.
Yeah,
and then
well, I say once a week we'll go down and get that 3220.
Okay, and then you had a big wreck.
Well, while I was out there, I was messing around with Johnny L. and Lois Steen, and Lois, and we go out there, and we were taking our scrap. We were getting scrap metal and taking it to A1 iron, over to scrap iron on 101. But anyway, and once we did, we were moving around, and so Junior White, after I had a big wreck out there, and I went to the coat, and I was out of $7 for my wreck, and they made me take the California driving test, and I passed it, and I got California license, and the judge took them from me. And I said, and then I was afraid to keep on driving on my Louisiana license, and so I was sitting down one night about midnight, and Junior White came over there. He said, let's go back home. I said, let's go.
Thank you, Jesus. Let's go.
And so he saved me, got me back out of California, and we came back here. And while we were back here, when I went back, this was about November, and in December and January, I'm going back to Grambling.
And finish your degree.
Yeah. And it was.
So had it not been for Junior White saving you and getting you out of California, ain't no telling what would have happened.
Yeah, and so we got back, and Junior White, we came on back down here, and we still had December and January before I was going back to Grambling. And so we were messing around, but it wasn't no problem with me. And in January, I
listed in Grambling. So
yeah.
I remember when Junior White used to come back and he would go hunting. He
Yeah.
used to love to hunt, didn't he?
And Junior White was slow. What I mean by, he was still and move slow, and he'd get my rifle and go in there, and he could kill a armadillo, kill a deer, kill anything come by. But because he could be laying down real still and not moving, and when those things come upon him, he was a huntsman.
Yeah, I remember him killing an armadillo and barbecuing it. He would eat almost anything. And you said that they had just brought the deer down in this area, and so he would kill a deer, and what would he do?
He would cut he would skin him and get the back leg off, and he'd bring the back leg, and then we could fix it. And we didn't know too much about deer, but we were helping him knock it out. And so,
You knew that back leg was good, huh?
yeah, we could have want to go back and get that other back leg, but it wasn't there.
Too late.
But Junior White he was still, and sometimes he'd tell us about California and first one thing and another, and I remember one night we had a car, and this car what I was in, it got red hot, and we stopped, and let it cool off, and when it cooled off, we cranked it up and kept going. I don't know how that happened. I mean, didn't you know? I look like to me, if it get red hot, something would happen to it. But I guess God said, well, them people, they don't know what they're doing, so I just fix the car and let them keep on moving.
All right, let me get back to work.